The big story of the day, it is official, and one of the biggest political shakeups in years. Zohran Mamdani has been elected mayor of New York City, becoming the first Muslim mayor of America's largest city in history. The 34-year-old Democratic Socialist has made headlines for his outspoken criticism of Israel and his promises to tackle New York's cost of living crisis by making public transportation and childcare, for one, free. And it turns out New Yorkers liked his message enough to hand him a victory over Andrew Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa in a race that has sent shockwaves through the city's Jewish community. 50.4% of voters yesterday cast their ballot for Mamdani. Now, New York does not release data about religion, but a CNN exit poll found that 33% of Jewish voters still backed the Democratic Socialist despite his anti-Israel rhetoric. Numbers that really show just how divided Jewish New Yorkers have become. For some, his win signals bold change. For others, it's really fueling fear that a city already facing rising anti-Semitism could become even more hostile. So who is backing Mamdani politically and financially, and what will that mean for how he actually governs the city? Well, joining us now from Washington is Dr. Eric Mandel, the founder and director of the Middle East Political Information Network. Oh, from Florida, sorry. My apologies. All right, let's begin with how Mamdani, a man with no major political background, managed to become the mayor of New York City. I mean, many claim that his wins was a grassroots effort, but now we are seeing comments from activists like Linda Sarsour, for one, claiming that his support system wasn't that simple. Let's have a listen to a clip that just came out today with her comments on this.
Right now, I'm a little more quiet because I'm on the quiet side of this race, but I'm going to tell you that once November 4th comes around, I will tell the story. The story is not just, that it's random that Zohran ascended to this place. It is our Muslim American community. And I'll also say that it's Muslim money. The PACs that have supported Zohran, or a particular PAC that has supported Zohran, is probably over 80% of Muslim American donors in this country, high net donors, grassroots donors. And I want to make the point that the Unity and Justice Fund PAC, which is the CAIR Super PAC, was the largest institutional donor to the pro-Zohran PAC in New York.
All right, Eric, who is backing Mamdani politically, financially? What do we know about this? And what role did progressive networks play in this victory?
So it is a little complex, so I'm just going to take a step back because I'm not sure all the viewers really understand who is CAIR, who is this United in Justice PAC. So before I begin, just want to say that as a native New Yorker, spent my whole life and raised my family there, the world's largest Jewish community is very worried. And we're worried because there's no penalty for being an anti-Zionist or anti-Semitic, and that we have mainstreaming of and it is respectable discourse to be in American politics anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist and demonize Jews based upon support or a connection to the Jewish state. So that gets us to Mamdani. So this organization, CAIR, the question is, many people think, and I am one of them, who thinks it's a wolf in sheep's clothing, and it is really about advancing Islamism in America. Now, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who is going to be running probably for the gubernatorial race in New York against Senator Hochul, which brings it all together with Mamdani and New York politics, and Tom Cotton say, and I'm going to quote what they say about CAIR, and we'll tie it into what Linda Sarsour was saying, quote, that CAIR has a pattern of historic ties to Hamas, rhetoric aligned with Hamas narratives, and support for radical activism, what we saw on those college campuses. And it raises serious questions whether CAIR's support for Hamas mounts to material support for terrorism. So they're asking Treasury and the IRS to take away their tax-exempt status. And there's a long list of the directors, former founders of CAIR, who have been involved in some of the most questionable activities against Jews and against Israel, to the point that the Biden White House condemned CAIR's executive director for celebrating October 7th, which brings us to the case, what Linda Sarsour was saying about Mayor-elect Mamdani and in relation to CAIR. So there's Unity and Justice PAC. They share addressers personnel with CAIR, according to the American Federal Election Commission. And their PAC, this PAC is run by somebody named Bassem El-Kara, who's the former executive director of CAIR in California and the treasurer of CAIR Action, which mobilizes voters, Muslim voters throughout the United States. And CAIR Action was instrumental in mobilizing Muslim voters to back Mamdani. So there's a lot of smoke. Is there fire of what's going on? And obviously by the comments that we have heard, the most telling was of a liberal rabbi, one of the national leaders, Rabbi Angelo Buchal of Central Synagogue, who said, "I fear living in a city and a nation where anti-Zionist rhetoric is normalized." So that's trying to put the whole package together of Mamdani, CAIR.
Of course. Eric, what I want to ask you now is, he's made a lot of big promises, whether it's major services that would become free to New Yorkers like childcare, and then, the promotion of BDS, saying he'll boycott the joint campus of Cornell University and the Technion Israel Institute of Technology on Roosevelt Island as one example of that. Will he be able to follow through with many of these promises? Should Jewish New Yorkers who are not anti-Zionist be that worried?
I think they should be very concerned about what's going on here. He has tremendous power as mayor to do a lot of things. I know people have tried to minimize that. I think one of the most telling will be who he chooses to be his superintendent of education in the United States' largest educational system. And he may choose somebody, a close ally of Social Democrats, which is Jamal Bowman, a former representative, who's as vehemently anti-Israel, anti-Zionist, and anti-Semitic as the mayor-elect. And that could be poisoning the minds of 1 million young New Yorkers from K through 12. So I think there's a lot to worry. The things that will make the headlines are, will this be an invitation to those radical groups that we saw on college campuses to go out beyond the campuses, to go around the city? And when there's violence against Jews in New York because they wear a Jewish star, or they have a IDF T-shirt on, or that they dress in Hasidic garb, where will he be? Will he be like a Mayor Dinkins years ago when there was a pogrom in Williamsburg? Will he be part of New York's progressive DA that doesn't enforce these types of things? That's somebody else who was just elected yesterday, Alvin Bragg. So I think there's tremendous reason to worry for New Yorkers. And I think, though, that this red-green alliance, Marxist Islamist alliance, if the Democrats think that this is a blueprint for a national election, I think this is very specific to New York. And if they run with that, I think that's the best chance of having a Republican win the presidential election in 2028.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us, Eric. Interesting to hear your insight. Obviously, we're going to have to wait and see how this plays out, what types of policies Mamdani actually moves forward and really works to pass. But we're going to have to move on to our next story here, something more local. Iran has